Alright guys, we're back outside in this beautiful hot Texas weather. I never really introduced you to the project car. So this is my 1989 Nissan 240SX. Had it almost since I started driving. This is just like my first car, which was a 91 240SX. Unfortunately it got wrecked, and so I bought this chassis, swapped the engine over, and kept driving. Pretty much bone stock, except the interior was torn out. It has a long tube headers test pipe, or a resignator actually. I don't like the sound of the test pipe. And some eBay stainless steel exhaust. And other than that, it's pretty much stock. It's got a viscous diff out of a Infiniti. Yeah, I can't remember. But yeah, just a fun daily driver toy. Well, it was for a long time. It's not anymore. It just sits. Alright guys, so first things first, I'm gonna break the lug nuts loose and get ready to lift the car up. So here's the rotor. As you can see, I re-drilled it to fit the 4-lug hub, and I used one stud to line up the rotors with the old rotor so that I could mark where I needed to drill it and try to get it as concentric as possible. Even though I used a bolt to line up the holes and I lined up the center bore, it never was completely concentric. So it's honestly best to get a rotor that's either drilled for the 4 lugs from, you know, some company professionally, or just switch out to the 5-lug hub and throw the 5-lug rotor on there. So we'll need to pop this cap off. Need a flathead screwdriver and maybe a hammer to finesse that cap off. I don't want to ruin it because I'm just going to reuse it until I can get a new one later. Flathead screwdriver tends to have kind of a blunt end. Since it's really tight to get behind that cap, I'm just going to use a hatchet and just lightly get it in there. Now I have enough gap to get the screwdriver in there and just kind of pry it. I don't even need the hammer anymore. There you go. Nice, pretty hub screw. Looks like it's all factory, cotter pin and everything still in there. Perfect. So I'll go ahead and break that nut loose. There we go. Anything's possible if you really want to do it. Now that should be a 30mm nut. And just like that. Now I need to get the bolts that hold the caliper on. Just break those loose and I can pull them out and set the caliper to the side. since this has been on here a little while, I'm just gonna pull the hub and the rotor off together. Now there's a little washer in here you need to pull out and save. That needs to go back on. So we'll take this into the garage and swap it out for the other hub. Alright guys, so I might be rushing this video a little bit. I gotta get to a stopping point so that I can feed my daughter. But I'll show you what I got. So these are the new hubs. This is the company. They're not sponsored they're not sponsoring me. And it was an open box item, so I just kind of jumped on them. I like them because they come without studs. They're machined chromoly, they're not cast. And they're made to use the factory bearings, which most of them are. I considered the S14 swap, but these have serviceable bearings, which I really like. And a nice surprise was they came with 50mm extended studs. So here we still have the rotor attached to the old hub. It's probably not on there very tightly, just need to pop it loose. I got the studs on some wood to protect the bench top, as this is actually my wife's workbench. Well, I'll come back to getting the rotor off. There's a snap ring in there that I need to get out, so I'll go ahead and try working on that. There's that snap ring. Just pop it up. Work your way around. And try not to lose it when it pops up. Now our bearing, we should just be able to go ahead and press out. So I'll try to get an appropriate sized socket or something to push it without damaging the races. There we go. Rotor is finally off. Alright guys, so after some trial and error with trying to push those old bearings out and the studs and trying to push the old bearing back into the new hub, I finally figured out kind of what's going to work, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with the next one. I think I might just fast forward all my fidgeting with the old one. So first, here's the other side. I went ahead and pulled it off, and as you can kind of see, this that rotor is kind of stuck to the hub. Part of it's because when I drilled these holes for the four lugs, I did not drill perfectly, and also it's kind of corroded too. Another thing I noticed is when trying to push the bearing in, it's best to do it without any studs. So this one I'm going to push the bearing completely in and not use the studs until the very end. I've also decided I'm going to go back to the short studs, mainly because it's going to take a lot of twisting with this really small lug nut to get those seated right. I'd rather not do that right now. I'll swap them out for the extended studs if I ever have to run spacers or, you know, wheels with deeper sockets or something. I don't know. Anyway, so for this one, I think instead of using the press, I'm just going to use the hammer. So sometimes, even when you have the press, it's a lot easier with just a hammer. Now to make it a little easier, I'm going to spray a little penetrating oil to let it work its way down, kind of break some of that corrosion, make it easier to push out. To push it out, I'll be using this. Alright, now back on the press, I got a couple blocks of wood, a couple blocks of iron to hold the hub up. And like I said, I'm going to take this little idler pulley holder, I'll call it, or just a little piece of steel, drop it in. It sits pretty nicely, and we'll push it out just like that. Let's go.
Yeah, so Mommy and Daddy stop. But yeah, Mommy and Daddy got lots of stuff.
Adeline.
I know, all those bins. She's like, wow. Mom and Dad got lots of things. Yes, we do, baby. Lots of things.
Hi, Adeline.
Say hi, Daddy. She's like, wow.
You just staring at our stuff?
You guys got a lot of things there.
Yeah, we got a few things.
Yeah.
You gonna come work in the garage with Daddy? No?
Nah.
No?
I'll go inside where it's entertaining.
No, it's not entertaining out here?
Nah.
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 Okay.
Bye, Daddy.
Bye, Adeline. And guys, that's why my videos are going to be very few and far in between. Very interrupted. But it's okay. I love it. Getting back to what I was doing. One relatively new bearing going to be reused. Alright, so last time I had a pretty difficult time pushing the bearing in because I don't really have the proper tools, the dies for the press to push and pull bearings out. So I was just trying to find what would work. What I did find is the face of this hub, the old hub, is almost the same diameter of the outer race of the bearing. It's just slightly smaller, which is actually perfect. Just like that. You got a fully pressed in and seated bearing. So I just work one side in, slowly press it around. We can pretty much do it by hand up until the last point. Just take a screwdriver and it snaps right in. You can run the screwdriver along the edge just to make sure that it is fully seated, and it is. So Now we can work on the studs. There we go. 4 studs in a bearing, 5 studs in a bearing. Ooh, that's new. In a brand new hub. Got my rotors, my hubs, torque wrench, and we'll put everything back together. The washer is not round in the center, so just make sure it goes on nicely. Rather, make sure it goes on the way it should. Now this says the front wheel bearings need to be about 147 foot-pounds. That's it. Don't reuse your old cotter pins, like I'm doing right now. And that's it. Now I can put a 5-lug wheel on here, call it good. I mean, if you don't want brakes, I guess I better put the brakes on. There we go. Now it's ready for the wheels. Pull. And 300ZX wheels. Stripped of paint because they were white and I didn't like it. So they look worse now. And they're hot. They're hot as shit. I mean, they're hot as poo-poo. Given just how hot those wheels are, because they were sitting in this hot car, I'm gonna let them cool off and come back to that. Oh. So this is what happens when your father-in-law comes out to cover your car. Well, at least he tried. So I was editing this video and got to the end and realized I just kind of ended it. I never actually like showed you guys the finished product or anything like that. So anyway, here we go. 300ZX 5-lug wheels, 300ZX 26mm calipers, and 300ZX rotors. So there you go. That's kind of what it looks like. And since I've pretty much finished with the hubs, the front hubs on this car, I've done a lot of other stuff, but like I said, I'm kind of coming back to this and filming this because I completely forgot to, I guess, finish the video off. So anyway, there you go. If you like the video, like it, subscribe, and there'll be plenty more. This car is going under some major reconstruction. So anyway, that's it for this video. Check in next time.